What's up guys, Steve here. Welcome to Ask Steve number 9. How this works is you put questions in the comments and in the next video I'll answer them to best of my ability. If you don't know who I am, I'm a long-time eBay seller, big-time Pokemon collector. I do everything. I sell a whole bunch of stuff every month on eBay. I'm pretty good at it and I'm pretty much here to help you out. That's the main reason why I made this channel. I just want to help as many people as I possibly can. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So if you ever need any help with that, go to my other eBay videos. Feel free to leave some comments here and there. But on the Ask Steve, if you have like a direct eBay question or an online selling question or a Pokemon question or even just like a live question, or if you just want to talk about something, you can always message me on Instagram. But these videos are pretty good. I'll give you the best response I possibly can within like a 15-20 minute time frame for each question, because I'm trying my best. I can't talk forever, but I am trying my best. So I hope you enjoy these. Let me know what you think of them. And let me know what you think of other videos I'm making. I got a few other cool ones like my mail days and my guess the price thing. I did one of them. That was actually really enjoyable for me to go back and see how much I paid for some things and see the price they are now. It's kind of crazy. So if you do like those, let me know. If you don't like them, let me know. We'll get into this question. This one's actually a pretty good question by Tobias Alexander Cards. Tobias asks, you often get the question, how do you source cards? And I often get the impression that the question is asked with a quick profit in mind. I do agree with you, Tobias. A lot of people go, how do you source cards? How do you source cards? How do you source cards? I've been asked almost 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 20,000 times. I don't know. And a lot of people kind of just think it's like easy. I'll just link them to a website where they can just click a listing and it's guaranteed profit. And it's like the most rare item at the cheapest price, or it's a really popular item that's a high quantity and you can buy 1 million of them. It doesn't really exist. But I do understand where you're coming from. People do just want to like get rich quick, and I don't blame them because they see people on YouTube, I guess, posting lots of high value stuff, and they kind of show off how easy it might be. So I don't blame them too much, but yeah, like I do get that question a lot. I'm tripping up my words a lot. I don't know why. I don't know why, but hopefully throughout the video I'll fix that and I won't trip my words up too much. I'm still getting better at talking to the camera, but the rest of the question says, can you take us through a typical time frame for one of your purchases? How long does the deal take, shipping / grading / etc. before you eventually make a sale? All right, Tobias. So let's just remove grading from the equation from your question. Grading is a means to an end. It is part of selling. It is not the main goal of selling. It's just something you do extra to gain value in the cards. Let's talk about it. Okay. So typical time frame for one of your purchases. So we're going to think about it. Why are we actually purchasing items? Why? I should really read these questions before I go into this. Oh, hiccups already. I drank too much water before I started. So we're going to think about it. Why are we making purchases, right? All right. First of all, you want to buy something and sell it to get more money. Can you see that? Can you see that? Should I bring this closer? That's my light there. Let's fix that for you. Yeah, all right, so we want more money. We also want to gain value, right? You want to get something, you buy it at a lower price, and hopefully it's worth more than you purchased. You want to gain value. Also, that can go to your grading thing as well. Grading. I'll write that up here, grading. We can use grading to increase value too. So not only can you buy something at a market price, but if it's a good condition card, you can grade it, you can get a higher value. So that's why we're buying something. We're buying it for less to sell it. Hopefully we get more money. What else are we buying to sell for? This is a big one. I spelt it wrong. I spelt it wrong. I spelt it wrong. I'll edit this out. So knowledge, right? So we want to be the person that knows what things actually sell for. We want to be the seller that has the knowledge in their head. So when they see the same thing next time, we can just replicate it and buy it again. So right. So we get money. We want to make money, obviously. We want to gain value by grading it. Knowledge, by being the one that sells it before. So when you see it again, same similar item or the same exact item, you can sell it again for more value, more money, etc. This is kind of a stupid one, but I say this with a grain of salt, but like invest, like the value of like the item going up in value, appreciating in value over time. So maybe there's an item and it's like a really hard to get item. Do I have any around here? Not really. Let's just use this for example. Okay, this one's a pretty good example. Mewtwo V Alt Art from Pokemon Go. Really nice looking card. I hope you can see that pretty well. It is PSA 10, so I kind of double dipped. So I bought these at around 7,000 yen. I'm not sure what they are now. I'm pretty sure. I think last time I checked, it was around like 11,000 yen. So you got an idea. I bought those for 7,000 because the idea was to make money, because the place I bought them from were a little bit less than what they were selling for on eBay and stuff like that. So obviously the idea, I can gain money. Also, I can gain value, because if it was gem mint, I can get value from grading. And then I also get to triple dip into it, because I haven't sold all the copies, and now the actual price of the item has gone up. So we've kind of like hit the invest side. We've kind of triple dipped. And now that I know that the card actually sells, I've sold maybe 15 of them so far. And I make like $40 to $70 per card, depending on auction, buy it now, deals, best offer, whatever. But to be an idea, and I'm not going to go and tell you to go buy that card, by the way, because I have a lot of them, and I probably wouldn't go buy that card because you're going to be competing against me for a long time. But feel free to go buy the Mewtwo. It's a great card. Buy one for your collection, but please, I'm not trying to shill the card, because I have heaps, and you don't want to compete against me on that one. So that's kind of example of, you see my purchase in my eyes of why I would buy something. You try to determine all the factors, and obviously before you buy something, you always want to check. You want to check the sold listings. So you actually want to check that it's actually selling for at least what you're attempting to buy it for. Let me make sure I'm doing this question properly. Typical time frame. So yeah. So before we buy anything, we kind of have to run through these calculations. Depending how long you've been doing this calculation in your head of like how long it might take, you can do this in like 5 to 10 seconds. It's just to work all this out. Maybe searching the sold listings probably takes like a minute or something for like some more niche card. But eventually you get so good, you kind of just calculate, okay, well, it's undervalued. Well, not undervalued, it's underpriced, because like it's a good listing. And then, okay, it's a nice hard, like nice, Jesus. It's a rare card to get. It's hard to get in the box. The box price is kind of going up a little bit. Boxes are getting harder to find, so people can't make as many, can't get as many out of boxes, etc., etc., etc. And also, the greater price was the raw price. Once you add in the grading cost and all that other stuff, does it increase the value? So there's a bunch of things that I calculated in my head beforehand. And time frame with grading. So you got like, so P is for purchase, and then we'll go, so this is very small, but it's S plus H, shipping and handling. Usually takes a week. So purchase, and then you got week 1, week 2, shipping and handling, just to get all the items to me, because most of the stuff I buy overseas, whether it's America, in Europe, Japan, China, all over the place, UK, I buy cards from everywhere, usually overseas, because stuff in Australia is not as plentiful. And then we got me, shipping and handling, also added into out to grading. So we got G for grading, and then anywhere from like 2 to 4 months. So roughly we're around like 6 to 10 weeks of when I actually get it back. And then I don't know why I wrote a G. And I'll change this to, so yeah, we got week 1 here, week 2 shipping and handling, grading 4 to 8 weeks added on top, and then the sale to finally finish it off is an additional 6 to 10 weeks. That's usually at the moment of what I'm looking at of how long it takes me to actually sell something. But it's all different. There are some items that I sell, like it might take me 6 months to actually sell it, but to list it, I get it back within the 6 to 10 week time frame of actually grading it. And a lot of people glorify grading like it's like the only thing you can possibly do. There is another question at the end of this video that I will answer, a pretty lengthy one. It's all about like selling raw cards, and I pulled some out to describe the idea behind it and how it's like pretty much the best way to consistently gain value that isn't time gated. My God, that was a big one. Too much water. I need to drink some more water now. Okay. So to explain that, when it comes to the raw cards, it's just like same thing, purchase, shipping and handling, and then it's just this. Sale. 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how fast it gets here. So we just copy this, How fast it actually arrives to me, I list it within the 1 and 2 weeks, or, you know, I have a lot of cards to list for raw cards, so I don't list them all within 1 and 2 weeks, but they just get added to the backlog of cards to list, and then eventually they will get listed within like the 1, 2, 3, 4 week period, depending on how expensive it is. I always kind of tend to do the expensive cards first, because they bring back the most money, etc, etc. That's pretty good advice to use. You always want to like start from top bottom, sell the most expensive card of everything you get, just to kind of be able to buy more stuff instantly. But lately, obviously, I'm very fortunate with the amount that I've sold, the amount that I've been able to buy, the amount of things that have appreciated. I've been pretty lucky. So I don't have to like try and fire sell as much as I might have used to, but this is kind of like a time frame. So first, I got to purchase the thing and then run all these items through the brain calculation just to see if it's even worth it. And then with the grading, you purchase it, shipping and handling, you grade it, and you list it for sale and hopefully you sell it. You don't even have to list it as a buy now. You can usually just auction that kind of stuff off. And as long as you're making like a happy margin for yourself, like a happy margin for me. Did you write anything about margins in here? How long does a deal take, shipping, grading, etc.? I'll just write the etc. as like the profit, right? So I've always calculated that when I'm selling a graded card, the minimum I want to try to make, I want to attempt to make, is $20. $20. This is AUD as well. It's a very low amount in comparison to what a lot of people might want to make. But for me to make $20 on a graded card is equivalent to pretty much 1 hour of work at my old job working at the supermarket, right? So, and this is something I've had in my mind for years. And maybe it will change. You know, these days, sometimes I sell things $40, $50, $100, $1,000 profit here and there. It's up and down. But at a minimum with the grading, I really like to achieve at least $20 margin. So when I list cards, it costs me around $25 to grade them. So when I list them for like 50 to 55, 60, some cards, obviously I get shit grades all the time. I get 8s, I get 9s of like cards that aren't worth a lot of money. They don't really bring in that much margin, but those ones kind of get canceled out by the ones that I make like $500, $600, $700 margins on. So it kind of evens out. But on the most average, I'm just trying to make $20 per hour or $20 per item. It's equivalent to 1 hour of work. And if I can achieve 40 sales in a week, I'm really happy. I obviously exceed 40 sales in a week. This was a goal that I set a long time ago, and I'm still trying to hit that goal at the moment because, you know, my girlfriend no longer works. This is kind of doubled to selling 80 in a week. So I can achieve 80 hours worth of full-time income profits, I guess. It's not pure because obviously there's like taxes and fees and shipping and everything like that's added in. But just to purely break it down for you, this is kind of the time frame. And this is what I like to try to achieve, a $20 margin on selling the graded cards. But the graded cards aren't the be-all end-all. Like the good stuff is like the singles. It's actually amazing how well singles sell. English singles in particular. I don't really sell English singles anymore just because I like Japanese cards and I don't really like looking for English cards to buy these days because it just doesn't really excite me. I like to do things that excite me. So I really hope this mumbo jumbo mess that I put on the board makes sense. But yeah, that's the kind of time frame I look like when grading. Grading should always be, you should always grade to sell. You should very rarely grade to keep for yourself in your own collection because it is pretty much a waste unless you have so much money and you're just happy to waste it. But even me these days, I find myself keeping like 10 cards every 100, 10 every 100. I'll put back or I'll put aside. I think someone asked a question about that earlier, later on in the video, and I'll explain what kind of cards I look to like keep back, but we'll worry about that later. But grading to keep is a very bad idea. You should just use it, grade, sell, not as fast as you can, but like at market price, 95% to 105% of around the market price, just so you can go buy stuff, do it again, and then learn how to do like these calculations, all this stuff here. Learn to that calculate in your brain over and over and over and over again when it actually gets down to the pure mind-numbing reselling when you're just buying cards just to sell. You're just doing this transaction in your head over and over again. So whenever you see something on a listing, you can scroll through as many listings as you possibly can to buy because you've done all this. I really hope that makes sense. So when you're actually looking for stuff to buy, you can calculate them as fast as possible, because the person who sees the most listings will find the most. Is that right? The person who sees the most listings will find the most good deals, and the person who sells the most a variety of stuff will have the most knowledge to know what a good deal is. So I do hope that makes sense. Oh, the next question, sorry, is by Wicked Cards. When you get your graded cards returned, imagining the scenario of the market having changed since being submitted, how often do you find yourself keeping cards in your inventory until you see fit for sale? Well, or do you immediately put them up on your store despite what the market is doing? All right, Wicked Cards. Damn, that's crazy. You're just gonna copy me exactly, aren't you? And then you're just gonna compete with me and crush me. So the idea behind that, I kind of explained that a little bit there, but like a lot of the cards I buy them, and then I just put them up for sale at the margin I'm happy to sell them. Like I said, extremely fortunate to be in the position I'm in. I can hold things for a lot longer than most people. I can buy a lot more than most people, and I can grade a lot more than most people. So I don't even have them here anymore. I actually sold 4 copies this week. But I had a Don Dozo art rare. And I think it's from Scarlet Violet 1, Japanese. And I sold them for 70 AUD. So let's break this down just so you can understand it. So I sold the Don Dozo art rare for $70. I graded them and I didn't sell one for 3 months. So $70 after fees and shipping is roughly like $8 for fees and $8 for shipping. So I'm at 54. Take grading. I'm at 20. Is that 29? My brain's not working. I think that's 29. So I'm at 29. Take card cost. I think that card's like $3. And then I'm at $26 on a Don Dozo art rare. I'm at $26. Plus, I get a feedback. Plus, can you see that? I get a feedback. That's F for feedback. Plus, I get a customer. Every time I sell one of those and they see how fast I ship it out, they see how much I take care of it. I get a customer. Plus, I guess this is not really a plus, but like, you know, when I buy my postage supplies in bulk, it kind of helps because like I can buy so much because I sell so much and I get a cheaper price and everything. I have a deal with like shipping with Australia Post. They give me way cheaper rates than normal because I ship so much. Australia Post actually charged me $9,000 for this month's shipping, the last 31 days, to give an example of how much I'm actually shipping out. So that's an example of a card that you are asking how long does it take me to sell. Some cards you have to be pretty fast. Obviously, if it's a brand new promo, let's use the UNAGABA promos right now. A lot of people would grade them instantly at a higher tier and sell them as soon as they can because they know other people are coming and just going to mass sell them. I've been through it hundreds of times. I won't be interested in mass selling my own UNAGABA promos. I'll just simply wait forever because I just know there's not enough to go around and they're just going to go, oh my God. Oh my God, what the hell was that? Oh, this is just like me coughing just non-stop. All right, where was I? Yeah, so the type of like a card that you need to sell as fast as possible is one that you know that everyone else is trying to sell as fast as possible as well. Like a brand new promo like the UNAGABAs. And that's kind of one you can aim to sell that pretty fast. But like I said, with those, I'm just going to calculate, okay, my first 10, I want to sell at this margin. It might take me a year, it might take me 2 years. My next 10, I want to sell at this. My next 10, after all, that's pretty much it. And then also with grading, you know, because it's a graded card, it has like a little bit of value added. Because you're the only one, when you auction it off, it's kind of like you might be the only one selling it, and you can benefit from that a little bit. So what I also like to do with graded cards is auction them off at like the grading price or close to what the cards cost me. So I'm either starting them at $25, I'm starting them at $40, starting them at $50. And even if they don't sell, it's not a big deal. The listing takes me like 20 seconds, a scan and a title and a photo in the listing in the bulk editor on eBay. Not a big deal. If I just put them up at $50 or $25 or $40 or whatever I feel like the margin I want to make at a minimum on those listings. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the margin at a minimum I want to make on the listings. Sorry, I'm trying to process how I want to say this in my brain. It's kind of late right now. What's the time? I always got to prove that it's late and I'm doing it. Okay. What it is? Okay, ready? Ready? Can you see that? 12:49, 1 a.m. Jesus Christ, my brain's fried. But I'm always trying to just calculate how much I want to make on the listing of the auction. I don't really start them at 99 cents anymore, as I'm just not looking to do that. That's really good for like building up your eBay, selling them as fast as you possibly can, getting money back in as fast as you possibly can. I'm not interested in that too much anymore. But like I said, some cards, they stay for a little amount of time. Some cards, if I know they're not profitable, I'll just sell them at cost price. Some cards I keep for a long amount of time. And this is what I was talking about before. Because I have... I got some cards here. This is what I was explained about Alex. So, these are some pretty cool ones. I'm just going to show them off easy. Just some Pikachu promo stuff that like it's kind of harder to get these days. And I don't really care how long it takes me to sell them. I mean, I can put these away for another year. And I just know that the price is going to be like pretty much the same. Or probably a little bit more. And that's fine. You know, this one's a little bit more expensive. I actually auctioned this one off before. And the buyer didn't pay, so I said, fuck it, I don't want to sell that anymore. Just put it in the box. So this is all stuff that I just take to my storage locker, but I haven't been there yet. I'm going there tomorrow. Just going to dump some more stuff in there. Not a big deal. So just more cards like primes, black and white full arts, 10-year-old promos, 6-year-old promos, the rarest of the rare, modern cards, the most desirable cards. Stuff like that. Cards that I'm not looking to sell that fast, just because they're so hard to get back. And I've already done all that. I've already had all those cards before, and I've sold like 10 copies of each of those cards, probably except for the Umbreon VMAX. I have only sold like 2 of those, but I hope that does help you out with what I'm saying. I hope what I'm saying even makes sense, to be honest. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even like, if the microphone's even recording. This one right here, can you see it? Ooh, right, microphone. Oh, we're having too much fun. Too much fun. Look what they did to me. They made me bald. Like, what am I doing? I look like I'm going into prison or something. Oh no. Okay. That's the hairdresser, by the way. I went there. Just take a little bit off. She just shaved my head. Oh. You didn't need to know that. Alright, Peter Ackerman, 2608. Do you have any tips on increasing seller limits? I'm hitting the limits for my listing amounts, but I'm paying for the eBay store. I can only list 1/3 of the amount of insertions I'm paying for. Alright, what's up, Peter? Let's think about a few things you can do. Alright. Mass auction. Mass auction. So you're hitting your limits, right? So are you hitting your seller limits? Because you didn't specify. Are you actually selling to the amount of limits, or are you listing to the amount of limits you're getting given? Every month on eBay, you can ask for listing and limit increases. And I'm pretty sure even if you ask for a listing limit increase and they don't give it to you, I would always recommend just calling up eBay, requesting support, going on the live chat if they still have that for you, and then just asking them on the phone. And then when they don't say, if they say they can't do it on the phone, just ask them, look, how can I increase them? How can I increase them? How can I make that better? Well, that light's annoying me. Like, how can I make it better? So what I do recommend is mass auctions. If you've got a whole bunch of like, not bad cards, but like lower end cards that you don't mind selling for like $1, add the shipping onto the listing, and all you're doing is trying to get sales. You just want to show eBay that I can make sales, even if they're $1 each. You might have to ship out like 100, 200, 300 stamped envelopes with $1 cards in them, and maybe you lose a few dollars overall after the whole process. But if it does help you increase your limits faster and faster, it's going to be more beneficial. So mass auctioning things is much better than just listing and having them sit. New sellers do get kind of punished when selling online. They do need to always like take lower margins, sell things faster, do more work to like recycle inventory faster. But eventually you will be able to reap the rewards of being a bigger seller, having the big store, being able to sell slower, having lots of listing limits, etc. And yeah, it does suck that they only give you a certain amount and then they give you a store that like takes the limits away. But as long as you're selling and people and buyers are actually paying for items, it's more important than... I don't even know why I wrote mass auctions, because I only had one thing to write. But it's more important than just getting the listings up and hitting the limit. And if you are getting the listings up, you want to try and reach like the listing limit and the value limit at the same time, so eBay just increases them both steadily. But yeah, I remember back in the day, I hit a few limits a few times, and one of my last listing limit increases, I think I can list like 1 million items and like $3, $4, $5 million in value. It's a lot now. They They just pumped me so much just because it's obviously I'm selling and listing a lot. Okay. My voice is bad. I don't know what's wrong. I'm getting bad, boys. I'm getting bad. I hope you're enjoying these Ask Steve videos. You know, I love doing them. I love helping people, even if I'm doing them at like midnight in like a manic state and I'm looking crazy and I'm a bald man. But I hope you guys are actually enjoying these because, you know, I've loved making them, and it's great seeing like how much interactions I get and how many views they get. So, the Hoenn Bazaar. What are the steps you take normally to protect yourself financially from scammers when making card purchases? Okay, so this is all about like making purchases. How do you pay for them? How would you handle where they don't send you the right cards or they send you fakes? How do you keep track? So this one, it's a bit hard. So generally, I think someone else asked the same question. Only Spark. So Only Spark and Hoenn Bazaar, both of you two, listen right now. I'm going to try and help you out. So when you're trying to buy something, you always want to use, if you're buying, obviously, there's a lot of people that watch me, we all kind of buy from Japanese websites. Not the best. There's pretty much no seller protection there or no buyer protection there whatsoever. So I'm not going to talk about them at all because you are flat out just not protected usually when buying from Japan. And whenever you are, it just involves like credit card chargebacks and them closing your account and having bad standings in all those middleman places. So I will not give advice on buying from Japan, as I generally don't advocate for anyone to ever try and buy from Japan unless you are just happy that if you buy something, the items are just going to be gone, because they have no obligation to actually send you the thing that you bought, because it's just how the system's set up and it sucks. So let's just talk about buying when you're personal, one-to-one, buying from eBay, you're buying from someone on Facebook, you're buying from someone on Instagram, someone you have an interaction with, and you're using, I recommend PayPal always. So you want to use PayPal goods and services. And, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen. Getting scammed, I guess, is a little bit, this is going to be a little bit different, but like preventing the packages from getting damaged. Obviously, urge the seller. So once you made the deal for the items, urge the sellers, you know, use more protected packaging. Don't just send it in an envelope that's crappy with no sleeves, top load over. Say, hey, I'll give you an extra $10 and you chuck it in a small box. So just like pay extra. And obviously this depends on the business. If it's a $10 single, you know, whatever happens, happens. If it's like $100, $200, $300, just give a little bit more money to the person. A lot of people who are selling their older cards online, I'm very experienced. I once bought like 300 GX cards. Was it GX? No, 300 EX cards. This was back in like 2015. So this is when EX cards were like the only cards. 300 EX cards. The new EX, the modern EX at the time, not old EX. And they were about $1.25 each. And the guy put them all in a paper envelope. And you can imagine what 300 Pokemon cards in a paper envelope looks like. And I bought them from the US and he shipped them US to Australia, 300 cards. And just imagine how damaged those cards are when I got them. And yeah, that was just messy, even trying to get my money back, because the guy just called me a scammer and said they weren't damaged and all this other stuff. And it's my fault because he didn't damage them and all these other things. But ultimately, I have learned from that experience that like I need to remind the person, hey, can you ship this and this? Do you have this? Can you go and buy a card box and then put that in another box? I'll give you extra money for that. So that was kind of like an open-eyed learning experience for me, even though I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong, right? I did nothing wrong, but like now I learned from that, be like, hey, can you just add more packaging? Can you just show me a picture of the box or show me the packaging process? Just like urge the buyer to keep in contact with you. Be like, hey, that's it. But that's not what you're really talking about. But there is another thing that does happen a lot where cards just arrive damaged because the sellers just send them really badly, because they're just, not everyone ships things perfectly, right? They're not all big sellers. So the next one is, yeah, PayPal goods and services is an obvious given. Double checking what you purchased the same day when you receive it. If you get it in the mail, check it straight away. I do recommend, I think we say Only Spark mentioned buying multiple items from different sellers that are the same item. So I recommend when you are buying from them, if you are buying off eBay, I guess, or even if you're buying from Instagram or whatever, when you give them your name, put in like your name. So whatever it is, your name. And on your eBay, you can put your own little code and go like ASDF. Something like that. So when if I'm buying from someone and I'm buying like 10 cards from 10 different sellers on eBay, and I'm buying from each of them, I will change my name on the eBay address and I'll write Pokemon Steven ASDF. I don't write that. I write like something different, but Pokemon Steven, whatever. And then I have like another sheet where you're kind of like trying to track your purchases, and you just purchased what you paid, what you bought, how much you paid for it, and when you bought it. And if you eventually get giving a track, why can't I talk? If you eventually get given a tracking number, just add that next to the tracking on the spreadsheet. And then when you receive it, you'll have the package in your hand. The mail will be addressed to you. It'll go your name, ASDF, Pokemon Steven ASDF. And I really hope that does help in a way to buy from multiple different sellers, because then you will know which seller eventually doesn't send your item. Because especially Only Spark, you do right if they don't use tracking, and that's very popular for a lot of sellers not to use tracking. Definitely write that then, because then you can fully understand yourself. Okay. And sometimes maybe some seller, they won't put ASDF on the end, but you can kind of like change up your name a little bit. Maybe add an S onto the end of your name. So Pokemon Stevens, and something that no one would really understand, but maybe you, or you put like Stevens Pokemon or something like that to kind of like change how the seller would send it to you, but you would be the only person that knows that unique identifier for you to understand that you actually got the item. And then Hoenn Bazaar asks, how would you handle a situation when someone either never sends your cards or sends you fakes? So this is a big one. I think obviously do the things where you put the item in the thing in your spreadsheet, how much you paid, what it was, what the deal is for, put their Instagram handle, put their Facebook name, or even like a link in the spreadsheet to their exact conversation on Facebook. Sometimes they're hard to find in Marketplace. And then just reminding them, just being like, hey, when are you going to send? Are you going to send? Not every day, not the next day, but like 2 days later. It's like, hey, have you shipped out yet? I just want to get all my tracking numbers from all the stuff that I bought. Hey, have you shipped out yet? Hey, how's it going? Do you have kind of like an estimated? Not trying to rush you. I know everyone has a life. Don't be that guy that just messages the next day or within 2 hours. But that's also a good thing to do. Or someone sends you fakes. I think sometimes that can be up to you. Unless they sent you a photo of a real card and then they send you a fake, you just have to go through the PayPal process of just being like, hey, I didn't get what was described on eBay. You'll get your money back 100%. But yeah, that's the kind of thing you kind of have to handle for yourself. That's when you have to ask for as much photos as possible. Usually, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. But I try not to buy those like home run listings. And yeah, so you do ask, how do you keep track of what purchases have you received and what purchases you're still waiting on? You can use a spreadsheet. Just be like, every week you can just have a tab down the bottom, and then eventually you can just put all those tabs into some mega tab, or just delete them pretty much, because they're pretty useless after that. But keep each month. It depends how much you buy. If you buy very little in a month, just have 1 month. If you buy heaps every week, have each week broken down. Try to keep it simple, so it's not just like thousands of lines in a big spreadsheet. But I hope that does help either of you on the buying side of things. Oh, that was a big one. Yoiso Pro asks, when first starting out selling on eBay and buying singles to flip, would you say it's worth getting a resale certificate? Okay, you do right here. Not sure if there's another name for it in Australia. There really isn't something down here because we don't have taxes within our own states. Everything's just 10% added on, but it's not really charged to a seller that's like brand new. It's confusing. Tax stuff is really hard to talk about online because I don't want to give the wrong advice. So it's better just to give no advice at all. And I'm obviously not a tax guy, so I can't really legally give advice. So if you do have an intention to be a long-time seller and you do sell enough to warrant doing all these things, if it's just like a few $100s here and there, I wouldn't really worry about it. But it is starting to be a big thing for you, and even coming to like 20% of your income or maybe even more, I recommend doing every single thing you possibly can before it's too late to go back and change everything, or you get in trouble or something like that. And at what point should you stop using a private account to sell and create a business account on eBay? You can convert your private account to a business account. I don't really know too much of a difference between the two. I think the business account, you can just like attach all your tax credentials and they'll just do that all for you. I think it is good to have your, oh my God, so sorry. All your tax stuff on eBay, because you don't pay the tax when you do buy stuff. I know for the USA reseller certificate, and it just automatically calculates the sales tax when you collect it as well, and does that accordingly as well. Pokeboo asks, what's up, Sakari? Long time. You got some pretty cool videos back in the day. I remember you had some cool stuff with lots of Japanese cards. What are some of the coolest places you visited during your trip that you would recommend? Both Pokemon and non-Pokemon related. So I did visit Japan a few months ago. Coolest places. Well, first thing, I would say visit Japan in the cooler months. Don't go anywhere close to summer. Even like within 1 month of summer, and then like the 2 or 3 months of summer, I wouldn't even touch it unless you're used to it. And I think you're from Canada, and I don't think you guys get a very harsh summer there. As far as I'm aware, you guys have snow. For me, I'm visiting Japan in summer during World Championships, and I'm going to be completely fine because I'm from Australia, and I'm just used to it by now. It's hot as hell. It gets hotter in my city than it does in Tokyo. So whatever heat comes, bring it on. I'm used to it. It still sucks, don't get me wrong, but it's not that bad for someone like me that's used to the heat. And what's some of the coolest places? So last time I visited, I only went to Tokyo, but I highly recommend hitting every main spot for like at least 4 to 5 hours. You can get through most places in Tokyo for like 4 to 5 hours, but there are a lot of them like, you know, just trying to see all the shrines and trying to see parks and everything. It is extremely time consuming. There's a lot of walking, but I recommend. I stayed in Ginza in my hotel, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was a more like quiet part, and less people lived in Ginza, and it was more of like a hotel kind of area with like high-end fashion shops. So it wasn't like super rustling and busy late at night, and it also wasn't that busy in the morning. It felt awesome just to walk out of my hotel. There's barely anyone. The shops are just bustling. There's like Rolex, there's Louis Vuitton, there's all Chanel, there's everything. There's the most craziest shops you could imagine. In Ginza, there's Ferraris parked every like third car, Porsches going past. There's like the Nissan, there's a shop there. They have GDRs out the front. It was like absolutely amazing. I loved Ginza, pretty much my favorite suburb. Some awesome like higher end food shops to eat at, like ramen places, but it still was only like $10 a bowl, $11. It was like, oh my God, it was absolutely amazing. So Ginza, I highly recommend. You will want to visit at least Shibuya, Shinjuku, Akihabara, and Ikebukuro. What is it? Ikebukuro or something? Ikebukuro? I'm not sure how to say that, to be honest. But they're the other 5 places. Akihabara, that has all the card shops. Ikebukuro has another card shop. Card Secret, I highly recommend that one. And there's like 5 more card shops in the area. Plus there's the Mega Pokemon Center there. The Sky Tree is another place I'd visit. But that's pretty much all I went. I went there for like 8 days, man. And it was like a lot. It was so much. And I really wish I went to more places. But this time around, I'm going to like Kanazawa, Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe, Yokohama, and Tokyo this time around. So ask me again on the next one and I'll tell you all about it. If you want to see some videos or things of places I went to in Japan, and I'll throw them up. Some card stores I went to or just really cool places, I'll put them up. If people want to see a Steve in Japan video, it won't be that heavily edited and I'll just be filming on my phone. But if you want to see that, just throw it in. Maybe I'll throw up a video from the Pokemon Center at the World Championships or something. All right, let's go. So Only Spark was next, but I helped you out with your one with the buying items that don't arrive. So using that thing where you write your name and then a little code, that'll definitely help you. Medisand, how would you ship your items outside of your country if someone bought 100 slabs? I only really carried boxes that do like 15, but do I have any handy? Do I have any hand? Yeah. So these things here, pretty solid. They come flat packed. So this is one my cat's clawed on in the middle. You can see that. They come flat packed, so this can pull apart, and I have to build them up together to make them. And I could fit around 15 cards in that pretty comfortably, 16. Sometimes if someone buys 30 cards, I'll put 15 and then 15 in another one, and I'll wrap these together, sticky tape them. That's a pretty good thing to do. I always like to reuse like my packages that I get in and ship and see. Maybe I fill like 15 of this and I put 4 boxes in a bigger box. And then I don't ever really like to ship more than 50 at once. So if I'm shipping 100, maybe I'll fill, I guess, like 3 boxes with 15, put it in a big box, ship that out. Another 3 boxes with like the other 55, put that in a box, ship that out. But I mean, if someone bought it depends on the value. You know, 100 cards of my cards might be a lot more for 100 cards of someone else. Might be a lot less depending on what they buy. But I generally think just trying to like cover yourself. If they're really expensive, send 10 boxes of 10 cards. I mean, it depends on how much your shipping is, where they are, where you're shipping them to, what country it is, what like tracking they're like. If you're using FedEx, if you're using normal post, there's a lot of things to go into it. But yeah, if it's 100 cards, maybe 5 packages of 20 works best for you. I mean, it depends how much. I think USPS flat rate priority box, maybe you can fit however much you can fit in one of those. Double that. Whatever works for you. Zerg says, what was the dream car? I don't know, it's been a long time coming. I really like BMW M3s, and I'm not really that much of a car guy. My brother's a big car guy. It's kind of like rubbed off on me a little bit, but I always wanted like a little bit of an older M3, but most of them come in manual. I hate driving manual. It's like the worst thing ever. I hate it. I would rather just die than drive a manual car. I know whatever you want to call me, just call me, but my current car that I have is an M3 F80 or F80 M3. It's a competition pack. It's amazing. I love it. Every time I get to drive it, it's an absolute dream. And sometimes I get in the car, I go, am I really driving this? Because, you know, my first car was a Honda Prelude. I bought it for $600. It had 160,000 Ks, 89 model. First owner, they sold it to me, old lady. That was my first car. I drove that for a few years. After that, I drove a shitbox Skyline. That was a few $1,000s of my second car. Then life went downwards after that. And then I sold my Skyline because I needed money at like 20. And then I bought a Lexus GS300. That car was $600. So this was like 9 years ago. I bought a car that was $600. It had 300,000 kilometers. A lot of cars that were popular taxis in Japan get shipped to Australia to be sold and just resold here. So that was a car that obviously was a very long time taxi in Australia, in Japan. Lexus is very popular. Skylines are popular taxis over there. They used to be. So a lot of them got sent here to be pretty much sold after they had 100, 200, 300,000 Ks. So yeah, my third car was a Lexus. But then when I hit like 23 or 24 is when I really started getting my first full-time job. Buying and selling was picking out more for me than it was before. I was making like $500 a week or whatever. It wasn't too crazy, but couple on with like $1,000 a week income, I was making a lot. And then I bought a 370Z, and that was an awesome car compared to a $600 Lexus. That was an awesome. Don't get me wrong, $600 Lexus, definitely awesome to drive around because you don't care what happens, you don't care what you hit, you don't care if you run into something. But 370Z, however you want to call it, amazing car. But now I got the M3, and that'll probably be my car forever. I don't really know, unless, yeah, the only reason I'd ever sell that car is if a card came up for sale that I just didn't have enough money for. And I secured the deal for a card that I really liked. I would go to the dealership that day and just sell my car, or put it up online, sell it at a discount, get the money from the car, and just buy the car I really like. But hopefully that never happens, because having a car is probably more important than having cards. But I really like Pokemon cards. So yeah, the old card shop asks, how long have we got? 43 minutes. Oh my god. What are your best plays to steal? Asking for a friend. I see that word around a lot. I actually hate the word plays. I think anyone that uses the word plays is an amateur. To be honest, I don't actually see anyone that's like good at this using the word plays. But there really isn't that many people that are like truly amazing at this. A lot of people are like half in, half out, not fully committed. You know, I'm a reseller, flipper, but I'm not really like, I'm not a full-time business or anything. You know, I don't do my taxes. I don't do anything like that because, you know, most of the people out there don't do anything correctly. It's not a dig at you guys if you don't do it correctly, but let's just be honest. But, you know, when we're making plays, it's just like, kind of taking the essence out of it. But one of the best plays I can possibly give you, to be honest, is take things more serious and understanding how powerful your time actually is. Because, you know, I explained it earlier in the video how, like, sometimes I buy things just to like get more knowledge on them or just see if they're actually sellable. And I've been able to do that over and over and over again and expand into markets, expand into different card games, expand into different things. Obviously, when you have more money, it's much easier to do things. But when I had less money, sometimes I would take a risk on doing things and you don't even know if it's going to pan out because there's no reassurance. No one's told you a play that might have already worked. But sometimes you're the one that does it. I mean, I know you do it, Old Card Shop. I know you actually do this with your PSA ones. And to be honest, I actually used to do that a little bit as well. The PSA one with the base set Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise, I would buy played and damaged copies of TCG Player, and I would buy them from Troll and Toad. I would buy Blastoise for like $5, Venusaur for like $5. I would buy Charizard for like $12 played from Troll and Toad back in like 2016. I wasn't selling them as PSA ones, but I was just like mass selling the most popular cards in low condition because a lot of people just want to buy the popular card. And then eventually that kind of has expanded out for me where like I buy stuff. So this is kind of like an answer to the next question. I pulled these cards out to explain to this Pokey71 guy. But this is just, these all came from the collection I kind of just picked up. And, you know, they're just cards I will have in bulk for a while. And I will list them on my store. As you can see, it's a lot of just like Japanese stuff that's kind of rare, kind of not rare, random holos, random non-holos. Let me see if I can show a little bit more here. Kind of like stuff like this. Like this is a damaged JR Rally Mewtwo. It still sells like $40, $50 here and there. We got to this point where work and time put in beats everything. So I don't mind buying these huge collections. This will kind of be more of a question, more an answer to the next question as well. But the best plays is like putting time in, actually sitting there for like 3-4 hours straight and just putting time and putting effort in, making listings, searching for things to buy, not divulging in drama and like getting into like other people's lives and watching all these drama YouTubers. There's a lot of people that watch this drama shit on YouTube. And yes, more power to you. Watch all the stuff that you think's entertaining. But I'm really big on like bettering myself rather than like caring what some dumbass is doing all the way across the world. There's stupid people everywhere. If you open a window, you'll see someone doing stupid shit. You turn on the news, you'll see someone doing stupid shit. I've tried to do my best, just simply putting as much effort as I possibly can into like building something. Every hour I spend is usually spent building something in some way, and it does get boring, right? It's not pretty. It's just trading cards. But the best plays is like having a schedule you can stick to. Having a dedicated amount of time that you want to work in that week on a certain thing. You know, I dedicate an hour every day just to cleaning my office. Clean my office, reset everything back. At the end of the day, I either do it in the middle of the day, I do it at the end of the day, I do it when I first wake up. However it feels, there's an hour a day, every day, dedicated to cleaning the space that I actively work in. And you might think that's just a normal thing to clean. But you know, some people, they leave boxes on the ground, they leave things unopened. Even this collection that I got the other day, it took me around 10 or 12 hours straight to pull every card out, sort it in. You know, I have like all the holos kind of like sorted into like lines. I have them sorted into conditions, ready to list. I have it ready to go. I don't just buy stuff like that and then just chuck it in the corner and be like, oh, someone else can deal with it. I'll just deal with it another day. Like, no, I'm going to deal with it now. That's like, I'm dealing with it now because I'm just going to buy more stuff and it's just going to go on top, on top, on top. So I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but best place to steal. I would have said Unagaba promos, but they kind of went up like a lot. And I don't really know what happened with that because they were free. And now the Umbreon's like $100 raw price, but they were free. And I'm happy that I bought 1,000, but I'm unhappy that the price is high now. So now I can't really buy more before I get to sell anything. But that is another topic for another day. Pokey7188. I'm sorry if that question didn't really get answered well, Old Card Shop. I know your question was a joke, but I am trying to help at the same time. And I'm not saying that you're not doing any of those things also, by the way. I know you're doing great, but there are a few things. That word plays does actually kind of piss me off. I'm an angry old man, and I'm bald because the hairdresser destroyed my hair. Look at that. I'm almost shining through. Like, look at that. Just write bald in the comments, and I'll probably get really sad. All right, Pokey7188. Let's finish off with you, mate. Why do you buy so many bulk promos and bulk damaged cards? Wouldn't you be better off getting sought after cards and sitting on those since they provide better security? Or are you getting that much better of a profit margin from these played condition promos and big pop hollows that they're a no-brainer? If so, how much of a profit margin are you getting on those cards when compared to chase cards that are in mint condition that are expensive? Okay. That's a great question. I think it comes from a point of, I think you're asking the question from someone who might have not been purchasing this kind of stuff already. So you might not know. So if you don't know me, I am Steve. I sell a lot of cards. And I already have a lot of like the most popular modern cards. I already have a lot of the most expensive chase cards from pretty much every set. I already have a lot of the rarer cards that are 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. I already have this stuff, but at the absolute root of the question is, why do I buy bulk stuff that might have a chance to be damaged when I could just be spending the money on stuff that's more easy? And the answer is that I'm an idiot. I'm really stupid, and I spend way too much time dealing with Pokemon cards. But I'll tell you. So when I buy a collection, I know the fact that there's going to be damaged cards in there. But I've bought so many collections and I've dealt with so many damaged cards that I know they sell. So many played cards that I know they sell. I know they sell a few dollars at a time. Hey man, a few dollars? I'm never going to knock back a few dollars. That thing I did previously with the $20, $20 is 1 hour of work. So I have 1 week, I might make $20,000 in profit. That's, what is that? 1,000 hours of my work at my previous job. 1,000 hours. How much is that? That is like, that's like 6 months worth of work at my previous job that I can make some weeks in profit just from expanding my knowledge as much as possible. But with the bulk hollows, man, I'm telling you, like bulk damage stuff, plate stuff, if it's a little bit older, a little bit niche, a lot of people want it. You can't always, and not everyone can be a PSA 10 buyer. And it's also, I really enjoy Pokemon cards, man. Like I love like going through these things, and like even this right here, like look at it. What is this? This is just Dark Haunter. I saw a listing with 10 Dark Haunters for, well, I can't remember. It was like $6. It was like 10 Dark Haunters for $6. I think that's what it was, because I also bought Charmanders and Bulbasaurs and Pikachus off the same guy. And it was 10 Dark Haunters for $6. And I remember the week prior, I sold the played Dark Haunter for $6. And I was like, 10 more for $6. It's a cheap card. I could just be putting my time into other things. I'm happy I can just get those played Haunters in. Probably takes me around 5 to 10 minutes to list those 9 extra or 10 extra played Haunters, put them on my eBay store, put them in my inventory. They'll just sell over time. And, you know, the main reasons why I do it is because I really enjoy it. The grading, I don't actually enjoy that much because I do think it is a bit, it's just cheap. It's cheap, it's easy. The grading companies take way too much money. The grading premiums are way too much. Raw cards are my most loved things to deal with in this whole space of things. Collecting binders is amazing. I like to be able to kind of, people are like, hey, do you have any of this card in this condition? Or like, will you be getting this card? Or hey, can you look out for this card? And I'll have a look out for that card, and you can connect with people. It's not always pure. Like your question kind of comes from a point of someone who hasn't dealt with any of the questions you're actually asking. So you're saying things like big pop hollows that are no brainer. And I'm not going to insinuate that you don't also do this, but I'm just going to imagine that you probably don't deal with chase cards that are expensive. You probably don't deal with big pop hollows that are a no-brainer on a large scale. Maybe a few here and there, but on a large scale, the question does come from a sense of not knowing, but also just thinking about pure profit. Not thinking about the whole knowledge part and how much you can expand. And you'll be really surprised that, like, if you just have a listing and no one else has a listing, you can sell a card, list it for, you paid like what, $1 in bulk, and you list it for $20, you might actually sell that card. $30, $40. I've sold $100 cards before that I got in bulk, that I was the only person on eBay selling them, only person in my country selling them. They sell for $50, $1 bulk, $50, $100. Maybe I get lucky. Maybe some cards are actually in good condition. I did. Where are they? Oh, I already submitted them. that video is coming out soon. It might already be out by the time this comes out, but all the cards I submitted from that large collection, there's about 200 cards in there, and there's a lot in there that I never would have even known that was in there or would have been in good condition if I hadn't have bought it. So I do kind of like that lucky type purchase because it's fun and I want to have fun, but I also want to sell things and I also want to expand my knowledge and I also just want to touch as much cards as possible. And I'm just happy to sit here and work for 24 hours in one day because I really enjoy it. I actually really enjoy it. And I even really enjoy these videos, so I don't mind giving you like a proper full, no bullshit answer that I'm not just going to be like, kind of allude you to the wrong point. But you are right at a certain level. Wouldn't I just be better off buying sought after cards and sitting on them? But like, the problem is, it's hard to ask those questions without knowing what the person is sitting on. Like, if I show you, I don't know what this is. I don't even know how many's in. I think there's about 130 of these. This is a SV1 Pikachu. So I have 1,000 of these. Probably around 1,000. Maybe more. I've been buying this card since it came out, right? So that's probably what you're talking about. Like a higher prop promo that's like more niche. I have probably around 1,000 of those. And I've been buying them since like 1,100 yen. Which is like $8 since they first came out. The price right now is 3,500 yen. It's the cheap way, it's easy, it's no-brainer. But if I buy another 1,000, it's just going to get added onto the stack. You get to a certain point with all these cheap, easy, no-brainer cards. You can only sell so many, and you can only buy so many. Having an extra 100 on top of 100 isn't that exciting. So I like to kind of just touch as many cards as possible I can. Try to get as much thing, like even... I love this card so much. It's just such a nice one. Let me show. It's a little bit weird for me to show like this, but like this Fossil Muse, man. These are all played. They're so beautiful. I just love looking at them. These all three of these are damaged. And I know if I list these damaged, $10, I don't know, $10, $15, whatever I sell them for. I don't really know it by heart. They're just going to sell. They're just going to sell in like 2 weeks. They're going to sell in like a month. And every time I see a damaged Fossil Holo Mew, I can buy it. I can make like $5. Sometimes I can almost make $20 profit on a damaged holo like that if I do sell it above $20. And that, like I mentioned, was an hour of work at my previous job. And 1 hour of work, 1 hour of just like on your feet all day. 1 hour of just like dealing with bullshit from just random people yelling at you while you're working at a supermarket. 1 hour of just like unloading a truck. 1 hour of like breaking down pallets. Like you can understand these hours, as fun as working that job was, and as much as I actually really truly enjoyed it, there are parts of it that I do wish that I never really had to do because they are pretty shit. So having 1 hour of like work when you just have like a few damaged Pokemon cards that you just list on eBay, man, you got to put stuff in perspective. Like this is crazy what we can actually do when we just put time and effort. We just focus on the grind and we just focus on ourselves. We put all of ourselves into it to build something because, yeah. I didn't mean to be offensive in any way also with the question. I'm sorry if I answered it in like a defensive way. I don't try to do that, but I really do want to help you. So always feel free to ask more questions. Definitely, Pokey7188. I'd like to get to know you. You can message me on Instagram. But I try to be as real as possible with you guys to like actually understand. I don't really feel like I ever deserve to be in the spot that I am. I don't know what all my stuff is worth. Last time I did a calculation, it was a lot. And even now, I'm still happy to make that $20 an hour profit on a few items. Not like my hours was worth $20, but like to make that old job wage in the $20, like in the just a few card sales. I'm my words are tripping up now. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. Yeah, I'm tired, guys. So I hope that does make sense, Pokey7188. I do like to just touch as many cards as I possibly can. I've always sold singles. I love selling singles. I have better avenues for selling singles than normal people also. I do have like multiple eBay accounts. I do have a physical store. I can just bulk offload a lot of singles too. Makes it much easier. But yeah, I really hope that is understood, the grind. And it is kind of fun to go through big collections. So it might be completely stupid, but I like to have fun. Having fun is important because then you just go crazy. Then you're just a guy standing in front of a camera for almost an hour. So I'm going to turn this video off right now because that'll put us right on an hour. And have a good day.